Good morning. Okay. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. We are starting a new thing. The Renaissance in Europe. The Renaissance really is kind of like medieval period part two, except with a lot of changes. I know that sounds weird, but it's true. So these are your notes. Okay. Starts here with Renaissance, and we'll go all through the Renaissance, and then the Protestant Reformation occurs in the middle of the Renaissance, and that's basically where like people are starting to create new churches. Up to this point, we only have the Catholic Church if you're in Western Europe, or the Eastern Orthodox Church if you're in Eastern Europe. Not now. Now we're going to start creating new churches. So, like, if you have heard of Lutheran or Methodist or I can't think of any, Presbyterian, or oh my gosh, my brain is dead. A whole bunch of other churches that aren't Catholic. Those are Protestant churches. So we're going to create those churches here with this, the Protestant Reformation. Then we'll come down here to the period of exploration, which actually kind of goes fast usually, because in actuality, you guys already know a lot about it. You just may not realize you do. I'm sitting on my jacket. Hold on. Okay, I'm good. So anyway, it's like, Europe exploring the Americas and stuff like that. That being said, let's go back up. Let me make this all big for you. Okay, the Renaissance. This word, Renaissance, means rebirth. You can have a renaissance of anything. It's just a rebirth. If you didn't do so well last semester in some class and you're like, you know what, I'm going to get my crap together and I'm going to turn in assignments on time and I'm going to do what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm crooked. And I'm going to do what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm going to be on track, then you have had an educational renaissance. If you, I don't know, had a relationship that got destroyed, you and your best friend stopped talking for a year, or you had a breakup last week with a boyfriend and y'all get back together for the 20th time, that's a relational renaissance. Also, a renaissance is just a rebirth. Okay, in this situation, this is a rebirth of education, culture, art. It's a rebirth of some things that, I'm not being rude, because the medieval period is my favorite, and the Germanic barbarians who created medieval and Renaissance and modern day Europe, they're my favorite, but they weren't so educated. They had like street smarts, but not book smarts. Well, that's about to change. The Renaissance, all of a sudden, there's this explosion of learning and education and art. Oh my gosh, the art, you guys. It's awesome. Part of the reason for that is the Crusades. Do you remember the Crusades from before Christmas? The wars that the Christians fought against the Muslims. The Muslims in the East, in the Byzantine Empire too, they were much more like educated and smart and cultured than the uncivilized barbarian peoples in Western Europe. Okay. The Europeans are going to take a lot of that education back with them after fighting the Crusades. And then they start doing this crazy thing. They open up the book and they start, are you ready? Reading it. When they start reading these old books written by Aristotle, sorry, books written by Socrates, Plato, Eratosthenes, Herodotus, Thucydides, they start getting smarter. Are some of those names familiar to you? Because they should be. It should be real familiar to you. Those are Greeks, Romans. The Greeks and the Romans were highly educated, but see, when Rome fell, and again, the Germanic barbarians moved into Europe, well, what happened? All that education just kind of fell apart. Not anymore. Now that Europeans in the West can get a hold of some of these Greek and Roman and Muslim books, and they can have people translate it for them, all kinds of good stuff. Now they're able to learn some of this stuff. And again, there's like an excitement to learn. Guys, human beings, I mean, okay, I know the cool thing is to be like, I hate school. Ugh. But we as human beings naturally want to learn. You're like, I don't. Go into your Google, what you have Googled. When you Google something, you're Googling it because you don't know. So when you Google and you go, oh, that's so, now I know how to do it, you're learning. One of the earliest words that little kids learn, other than no and mine, is why. Because they want to learn. Human beings have a natural desire to learn. And during this time period, starting in the early 1400s in Italy, but later 1400s everywhere else, people are like hungry for learning. They want to know this stuff. So the Renaissance is this period, this explosion of learning where like everybody and their dog is learning stuff. And the cool thing to be is a Renaissance man. It's not cool to be like, oh, I failed last semester. It's not cool. People didn't look at that and go, oh, wow, you're so cool. No, they were like, we don't want to have anything to do with you. The cool thing in the Renaissance is to be a Renaissance man. Sorry, girls. Renaissance man is what it's called. Although there were some women that were considered Renaissance women. You can definitely argue that Queen Elizabeth, we'll get to her later, probably next week. She was a Renaissance man, but she's a female. So just know, I'm sorry, the term, it's not a feminist term. It's just, it is what it is. A Renaissance man is somebody who is highly, highly, highly educated. They know everything about every subject. See, we don't see that a lot today. We specialize in things. I went to school to be a museum studies historian. I didn't go to school to be a teacher. I wanted to actually be in a museum. I love teaching, so I'm cool, I'm happy. But I know my history. I know my history because I was studying to work in a museum. But see, here's the thing. I don't know everything about every history because today we specialize in things. Yes, I have a history degree, but it's a little more specialized than that. Europe, the medieval Europe. I know basic China stuff, basic America stuff, hope so. Basic, I don't know, South Africa stuff. I just taught you the Inca, the Maya, the Aztec. But do I know it well? No. Not as detailed as I know some of the European stuff. We specialize today. But see, back then in the Renaissance, if you didn't know everything about everything, you are not cool. We don't want to hang out with you. Gross. Because we don't like failures. The Renaissance, people want to be educated. And that means you can do every single subject. I'm good at history. I'm good at English. Math? Not so good. I did pretty well in biology. Chemistry? I don't know how I passed. I mean, I never failed, but I don't know how I passed. So we specialize today. They didn't. You knew every single subject completely. You could speak multiple languages. You're also artistic. You could paint. You were taught how to sculpt. You were taught music. You could play instruments, sometimes more than one. Oh, I just looked at my hair over here. Sorry, sometimes more than one instrument. Okay, I have this piece. Do y'all see it right here? Okay. Anyway, sometimes more than one instrument you could play. Some people could do vocals as well. Some people were sculptors. Did I say that? Some people were, they could do everything. I paint. but I don't think I can sculpt. So, Renaissance. I had to think where I started messing with my rings. I had to think. The Renaissance. It is characterized by this big thing, not just education, but education about what? Well, especially this humanism. The word humanism means focusing on the human. You're like, well, duh, what else am I going to focus on? In the medieval period, okay, where we just came from last semester, everything was focused on the church, God. The kingdoms were big time controlled by the Pope. I mean, they still are going to be during the Renaissance, but we are going to see some places start separating from the Pope. That happens here in the Reformation. That's what I was talking about here, where they're creating their own churches. They're like, we don't want to listen to the Pope. We're going to create a new church. So the Pope controlled everything. The church was everything. Not so much in the Renaissance. Now, before we go farther, I do need to explain this. Guys, they're not throwing out the church. They're not throwing out God or the Bible. You're still going to see a big focus on the church and God and the Bible, okay? But it's a lot less than it was. There's this idea, humanism, focusing on human achievement, that it's okay to win a race and say, I trained for that. And I deserve that win because I trained for it. See, in the medieval period, if you won a race, you wouldn't have said that. You would have said, God blessed me greatly. God did it. God caused me to run that fast. All glory goes to God. In the Renaissance, people start doing this. Thank you, God, for helping me. But I trained. It was me. It was my legs. People are going to start saying it's okay to be proud of my own accomplishments. It doesn't make me less Christian. You're focusing on what humans can do. That also means you're focusing on the human form. People are going to start saying it's okay to wear luxurious clothes and be beautiful or attractive. I can still be a Christian and be pretty at the same time and be proud of the way I look. People are going to start having many more portraits made of themselves. See, in the past, if people owned art, they owned pictures of Jesus, the crucifixion, the birth of Jesus, Mary, okay? But in the Renaissance, people are going to start going, paint my picture. I can still be a Christian and paint myself. I can still be a Christian and wear a luxurious, I don't know, fur coat back then, or I can still be a Christian and be proud of myself for winning the race. It doesn't mean God isn't important to me anymore, but I'm just focusing on human achievement a little bit. Guys, we're still a humanistic society. Humanism doesn't mean evil, okay? It just means you're focusing a little bit more on the world. Look. Do you see this? That word right there, it's one of your vocab words. Secular. Secular means worldly. Not religious, worldly. When you watch a TV show, you watch SpongeBob, that is a secular TV show. It doesn't mean evil, although some of you might think it is, but it doesn't mean it's evil. It's just not about God. If you're watching VeggieTales, is that secular or are they Bible stories? They're Bible stories. Some of you are probably like, they are? Yes. So that is not secular. Secular doesn't mean evil. It just means not about God. You can paint a dog, and that's secular in style. If you paint Jesus or a Bible story, that's not secular. So you're going to start seeing in the Renaissance things moving a little bit, not necessarily away from God, but a little bit more human. That it's okay to focus on human achievement. It's okay. I can still be a Christian and have a secular piece of art in my house. I can still be a Christian and read a book from a non Christian Greek or Roman person. I can still be a Christian and have art from this time period that is not Christian. You're like, how do we know it's not Christian? There is no Christianity yet. Well, for Rome, yes, but Greece, there's no Christianity yet. It popped up after that. Okay, so don't think that Renaissance is moving away from God to where they're like throwing it out. They're not. It's just moving a little more humanistic. I want you to look at some things. This is what Europe looks like. If we go back to the map I was just on, everything that you see in color here and over here, we've talked about so far, except this piece of New Zealand and this right here. You have China, India, Mesopotamia, and Persia right here, and it comes down this way. Egypt, the Nile River, Mali, Europe, the Aztec, the Maya, and the Inca. Okay, we're in Europe still. All right. When you look at Europe during this time period, it's a mess. You're like, no, it's not. France looks pretty good. True. Look at Spain. There's actually 4 different Spains. Spain, 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 Spain. That will be fixed and they'll all be like moved together during the exploration time period. Like Spain becomes Spain during this time period when you have the marriage of Queen Isabella from Castile to King Ferdinand from Aragon. Then it'll become Spain. France looks pretty good, okay? England looks pretty good, yeah? If you look over here, we're not really going to deal with Poland, all right? But, I mean, this will eventually all be Russia, but not yet. Hungary. Look at the Byzantine Empire. Whoa. We'll get there. But look at this holy mess. Oh my sweet little Germans. You have Italy here. Does Italy look like it's united at all? The answer is no. Oh my gosh. Italy's a mess. You have the Kingdom of Sicily, the Kingdom of Naples, the Kingdom of the Papal States, and then all of these weird little republics in here. It's a mess. Look at the Holy Roman Empire. Ugh. Does it look like a united empire to you? What you're looking at here, these are all separate kingdoms who are still fighting each other. The biggest one here you see, Bohemia. Good job. Bohemia doesn't even exist today. Today, the Bohemians are mostly Czech Republic, okay? Mostly, that's what Bohemians are. The Holy Roman Empire and Italy are a mess. See, Italy is where the Renaissance begins. And it really begins there because of trade routes. When people were coming back, okay, from the Byzantine Empire over here, fighting the Ottoman Empire during the Crusades, they're coming along the old trade routes and they're mostly coming into Venice, Italy, right here. Or they're coming this way into the Papal States and then coming up this way to go home. There's something right here. It's hard to see, it's small. Right here. It's called, oh, I don't have it. Here it is. It's called Florence. Here's Naples, the Papal States. Here's Venice and Florence. If you come in this way, okay, and then you go up to go back home to France or England, you're going through Florence or Milan or Venice. The Renaissance begins here because all these new books are coming in right here. Specifically, we say the Renaissance begins in the city of Florence, Italy, right here. Right here, right there. This is the whole Republic of Florence, but the actual city is right there, right there, right there. Florence, Italy. Technically, it's where we say that the Renaissance began. Okay? Okay, look, I want you to see something. We're looking at different types of art here. Okay, look. Classical, that means Greek and Roman. Okay, this is what Greek and Roman statues look like. They were very accurate to the body. They were very humanistic. The form of the human is there for all to see, usually naked. Okay? Then you move to the medieval period. It's not very clear. Medieval paints weren't very bright. So you have a lot of dark paintings. It's dark. And what is the subject of this painting? What are we looking at? You have Mary holding baby Jesus. And these are all saints, Christians, or angels. Probably angels because there's wings. These are probably the saints down here, the Christians. It's a religious painting. Now look at the Renaissance. Do you see what I mean by the paint is more vibrant? It's brighter. It's also more detailed. We don't see a lot of details on Mary's face. Do we see some detail here? Yeah. We don't see a lot of detail with Jesus's face. Do we see some detail here in little baby Jesus's face? Yeah. Look at the background. Where are they? There isn't really a background. It's like a coloring book. It's not really a background. But look right here. They're sitting outside. This is Mary and Jesus. It's a Renaissance painting. Again, they're not throwing out God. It's still a religious painting. But do you see some changes from here to here? Guys, when people are more educated, their art is better. That's why, like, you look at a little kid's drawings and they're like, they're all crazy and weird. As the little kid gets better, especially if they practice, but as the little kid gets better, their art gets better too. You're like, well, but that's because they practice. Practice is a form of education. Look at this series. Here, right here, this is another piece of classical Greek and Roman sculpture. Incredibly detailed. Look at her gorgeous hair. Look at this. That's a piece of rock. It's gorgeous. Then we move to the medieval period. This is a brighter painting than what we saw a minute ago. You do still have Mary right here. You have Jesus right here. He's being baptized in this painting. Okay, that's probably the Pope. And all these little children, they're so tiny, like way too small, like way too small. Look at the background. Where are they? It's just brown. We don't know where they are. There's not like a background. Maybe they're in church. Maybe. What is this? These are angels. And this is God. So this is a religious painting. Okay, now look at this one. What happened? There we go. You're like, oh, that's a lot darker, miss. I know, but it's supposed to be. He's wearing black. Black. My favorite color. Look right here. Do you see what it's called? It's called Portrait of a Man. I don't even know what it's called. It's just Portrait of a Man. But look at him. He's also outside. We have backgrounds now. Okay. He's wearing black and white. You do see that there's light on this side of his face. And you do see here that there's shadow on his face. We're either at sunset or sunrise, one of the two. Okay. Oh my gosh. What is this? Is this an educated man? Yeah. So got a book. Oh my gosh, something even bigger. What is that? It's ink for his pen. Puts the pen in ink. He can write. This is a learned man, an educated man. Is this an evil painting? Oh my gosh. Person's evil. No, it's not evil, but it is secular. It's not religious. And do you see some changes? Again, here's another comparison. You have medieval period. You have Renaissance. Both of these, Madonna with child and angels, Madonna with child. Madonna is Mary. This is Mary and her son Jesus. Exact same idea as this painting right here. Same thing. Oh, nope. As this painting right here. Same thing. It's just a different painting. Mary with Jesus and some angels. Look at this one. Mary with Jesus. Okay, look. We are not throwing God out. This is still a Renaissance painting from that time period. We still have Mary and Jesus. But look right here. It's a book. People were illiterate before this. They couldn't read. That's part of why the Pope and the priests and all the church people, the clergy, had so much power and control, because they were the only people who could read the Bible. See, in this picture, Mary, a woman. Oh, God forbid a woman be educated. A woman is holding a book, reading it to a little baby, Jesus. This is a religious painting, but we're seeing them add some humanism to it. A woman reading. We're getting a little bit more worldly. Not evil, just worldly. Here are some more paintings. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but this is Gothic. Again, it's real dark. And then if you, Gothic, medieval. And then if you look here, this is just showing you some progression. The lighting, it's gotten so much brighter. The painting of the time has just improved so much. Awesome. You're also seeing a lot of backgrounds now. There's no background here. There's a background, a big castle. This is a star chart. Background. You know where these people are if you know that building. Okay. Okay. You've had your Renaissance introduction. That's where we're going to stop for the day. So let me find my thing. Here it is. Okay. Bye.